My father raised his glass. Next week, we're going to Hawaii. The whole room erupted. Applause. Laughter. Congratulations. My mother beamed. My sister almost screamed with excitement. A perfect family. And for the first time in years, I thought maybe this time I would be included too. A real trip. No cooking, no cleaning, no babysitting, just a member of the family. So I asked a simple question. What time is our flight? No one answered. The air froze. My father looked at me, not like a father, but like I had said something I wasn't supposed to say. My mother tightened her smile. They exchanged a glance. Then he spoke. Slow, clear, without hesitation. You don't need to know. My heart sank. Because you're not going. The room went silent. No more laughter, no more clinking glasses. Just 30 people watching me being excluded from my own family. I think it makes sense, my mother added gently, as if explaining something obvious. Someone has to stay and take care of the kids. Someone has to stay. There is always someone who stays. And that person was always me. I stood there in a simple black dress surrounded by expensive outfits, warm congratulations and hugs I had never received. I didn't feel embarrassed. I felt empty. A woman whispered to her husband just loud enough for me to hear. She's probably used to it. I smiled. A perfect smile I had practiced for 32 years. I understand, I said. My voice didn't shake. But inside, something cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet fracture. I walked into the kitchen, set the plate down, washed my hands, dried them. Out there, everything continued. The music came back, the laughter returned. As if I had never existed. And that was when I realized something. Not just today. Not just this moment. But for the past 32 years, I had never been part of that family. I was just someone who was always there. What they didn't know was this. For the past 3 years, I had been quietly building something. Another life. Another version of myself. One that didn't need their approval. And that night, for the first time in my life, I didn't think about how to be loved. I thought about leaving. And what they never expected was that when I left, I wouldn't come back. My name is Clara Bennett. I'm 32 years old. And if you ask my family to describe me, they wouldn't say I'm the eldest daughter. They wouldn't say I'm someone they're proud of. They would say Clara. Yeah, she's helpful. The Bennett family lives in a house that from the outside looks perfect. A 2-story white house, a perfectly trimmed lawn, full family dinners, neatly arranged photos on the walls. Everything looks exactly right. Except for one thing. My place in it. My father, Richard Bennett, is a man who likes to control everything but calls it responsibility. My mother, Eleanor, doesn't work, but she's always busy maintaining what she calls the image of a perfect family. And then there's my younger sister, Lily, 3 years younger than me. Beautiful, charming, she knows exactly what people want to hear. And most importantly, she is always chosen. And me. I'm the one who is always there when needed. Nothing happened all at once. There was no single dramatic moment. It was a long chain of small things, small enough to ignore, but repeated enough to define who I was. Like parking. Lily's new SUV always got the spot right in front of the house. My old car was always left on the street. People see the house first, my mother once said. The nice things should be visible. I didn't argue. I just moved my car. Family dinners were the same. My mother introduced Lily like she was the greatest achievement of her life. This is Lily. Her husband is a lawyer at a big firm. And me. Oh, Clara. She works freelance. She's doing okay. No one asked what I actually did. No one cared what I was trying to build. Because in their eyes, I wasn't someone to be proud of. I was someone to be used. Thanksgiving. I arrived at 6 a.m., prepared the turkey, set the table, arranged the flowers, organized everything. Lily showed up at noon, wearing a beautiful sweater, hugged everyone, sat down, and was served. Christmas. I wrapped every gift, not mine, my mother's. Because her hands hurt. But strangely, her hands never hurt when she played cards 3 times a week. Birthdays for the kids. I planned everything, bought everything, cleaned everything. One time. Just once. I said I have a deadline. Can I skip this one? The room went quiet. My mother looked at me. Her eyes turned cold. Family comes first. Family comes first. I've heard that my entire life. The strange part is, I was the only one expected to prove it. But the worst part wasn't the work. It wasn't the exhaustion. It was the way they looked at me. One year my Christmas gift was an apron. It said best aunt ever. I smiled. I said thank you. I wore it every time I came over to cook. Until one day, I realized something. No one had ever invited me over just to visit. They only invited me to work. And the scariest part, I had gotten used to it. Until something else happened. 3 years ago, the man I loved left me. He looked at me and said, "You're nice, but there's nothing special about you. You're always just there. Just there." That sentence hit something I had never dared to name. Maybe it wasn't just my family who saw me that way. That night I walked without direction. And somehow I stepped into an old shop. No reason, no plan. And that was where everything began to change. Even though, at the time I had no idea. That night, after he left, my apartment became unbearably quiet. No TV, no messages, no one asking what I was doing. Just one sentence repeating in my head. You're always just there. Just there. Not remarkable. Not needed. Not remembered. I sat on the floor for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't think clearly. I just felt empty. And then I stood up. Not because I was okay, but because I couldn't stand that feeling anymore. I walked outside. No destination. Just walking. Until I stopped in front of an old shop. A pawn shop, dim yellow lights, slightly dirty glass. The kind of place I would never normally enter. But that night, I walked in. The smell of metal, old wood, things that once had value and were left behind. And then I saw it. A camera, old, imperfect, but carefully kept. I wasn't a photographer. I knew nothing about it. But something made me stop. Good piece, the shop owner said. $180. $180. Not a small amount for me back then. I should have walked away. I should have saved money. I should have done the reasonable thing. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't choose the reasonable thing. I bought it. And I told no one. That camera became the first thing in my life that I kept for myself. The days after that, nothing really changed. I still went to work, still went to my parents' house, still cooked, still cleaned. But something was different. I started looking, not the way I used to, but really looking. An old woman at a bus stop, wrinkled hands, patient eyes. A night shift janitor, a bent back, tired eyes, still going. A street vendor, rough hands, cracks no one notices. People, the world passes by every day. I photographed them. Not to post, not to become famous. Just, for the first time in my life, I felt like I was doing something meaningful. I named the series Invisible. Because I understood that feeling. I created an anonymous account. No real name, no face. No one knew it was me. Only photos. At first, no one noticed. 10 followers, then 20, then 50. But I kept going. At night, early mornings, weekends, whenever I could. I lived two lives. One, the world could see. And one, where I finally began to exist. 3 years passed. 12000 followers. 12000 people seeing what I saw, feeling what I felt. But my family, they knew nothing. They still thought I was not important, the one who was always available, the one who could help any time. And I let them believe that. Because for the first time, I didn't need them to see me anymore. There was only one person who knew. My aunt, Margaret. In my family, she was considered the failure. No husband, no children, no respectable job. She ran a small pottery shop, lived in a town my mother called a wasted life. But she was the only one who truly saw me. I sent her one photo, just one. She called me that same night, her voice trembling. Clara, this isn't normal. This is beyond normal. I didn't know what to say. You have something people spend their whole lives looking for, she said. You see people. No one had ever said that to me before. And that was when things started to change. She never asked why I didn't have a more stable job, never asked when I would get married, never asked why I wasn't like my sister. She only asked one thing. How far do you want to go with this? I had never thought that far. Until 3 weeks before that dinner. An email appeared. I almost deleted it. I thought it was spam. A gallery. In California. They wrote they wanted to talk about my work. I stared at the screen for 20 minutes. Didn't reply. Because there was only one thought in my head. Things like this don't happen to people like me. But I was wrong. That night, I called Margaret. I think this is a mistake, I said. She laughed softly. No, Clara, this is the moment you start being seen. And for the first time, I allowed myself to imagine something else. If the world could see me, why was I still staying in a place that never did? But I still didn't leave. Not yet. Not until that dinner. Not until the moment I was excluded from my own family in front of 30 people. That was the point of no return. That was when everything changed. I thought that would be the end of it. I was wrong. The party went on, as if nothing had happened. The music came back. Glasses clinked again. People laughed like before. And me, I went back to the kitchen. No one called me back to the table. No one said, "Come sit with us." No one asked, "Are you okay?" Not a single person. I stood at the sink. Water running, plates touching, a soft, steady, cold clinking sound. Out there, my family was celebrating. And I was washing dishes at their party. The scariest part was, no one thought it was strange. After a while, Lily walked in. Her red dress moved lightly through the doorway. Perfect, not a wrinkle. "Don't be upset," she said, her voice gentle, but without any guilt. "We really need this trip." I didn't turn around. I kept washing dishes. "I understand," I said. "You're the most suitable one," she continued. "The kids are used to you." Suitable. I stopped for a second. Suitable to stay behind. Suitable to sacrifice. Suitable to disappear. "It's only a week," she added. "It's not like you have anything important planned, right?" That sentence hit something deep. You don't have anything important. I kept washing dishes. I didn't answer. Because if I did, I wasn't sure what I would say. Lily sighed, the kind of sigh people make when they think you're being difficult. "Derek already made a schedule for you," she said, pulling out her phone. "The kids' meals, bedtime, Sophie's medicine?" Not asking, not requesting. Assigning. She placed the phone on the counter. "I'll send everything to you." Then she walked away. As if everything was settled. As if I had no choice. I stood there, looking at the screen. A long list. Detailed, perfect. A plan. For my life. One I had no part in. And then, a thought appeared. Small, but clear. What if I didn't do it? I had never thought like that before. For 32 years, I had always done it, always nodded, always stayed. But this time, the question didn't go away. It stayed. It grew. "Clara." My mother's voice from behind. I turned around. "Don't stand there too long," she said. "The guests still need to be served." Served. Not help, not assist. Served. I looked at her. 1 second, 2 seconds. And in that moment, I saw it clearly. It wasn't that they had changed. It was that I was finally seeing the truth. I turned back to the sink, kept going. But this time, not because I thought I had to, but because I was finishing, for the last time. That night ended close to midnight. Guests left. The house grew quiet again. My parents went upstairs, without a word. As if everything was normal. I stayed behind. Alone. Cleaning up, folding towels, turning off the lights. And then, I sat down. For the first time that day, I did nothing. Just sat there. In that house. The place I grew up in. The place I once called family. And for the first time, I allowed myself to think something I had always avoided. What if I left? Not for a few days, not out of anger, but truly left. And never came back. The thought didn't scare me, and that was the scariest part of all. Because it meant I was ready, but I still didn't act. Not yet. Until I saw something. Something I wasn't supposed to see. And it changed everything. I thought I understood enough. I was wrong. That night, after everything was over, I stayed. No one asked me to. No one thanked me. But I still cleaned up. Like always. I folded the tablecloths, stacked the glasses, put away what was left of a perfect evening. One I was never part of. It was almost midnight. The house was quiet. I needed to send a file to a client. My laptop was at home. My mother's laptop was sitting right on the kitchen table. I thought, it's fine, just for a minute. I opened it. The browser was still open. Email. I didn't mean to look. I really didn't. But then, I saw my name. The subject line. Hawaii. Arrangements for Clara. My hand froze. 1 second. 2 seconds. I knew I shouldn't open it. But a part of me already knew the answer. I clicked. The first message. From my mother. Keep Clara home to watch the kids. She doesn't have anything important to do anyway. I read it again, slowly, word by word. Nothing important. The next message. From Lily. Exactly, Mom. She'll finally feel useful for once. It's a bit sad, but convenient for us. I couldn't breathe for a few seconds. Feel useful for once. Convenient for us. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't accidental. This was what they had always believed. I scrolled down. More messages. No need to hire anyone. We already have someone at home. Free. Free. I stared at the screen, not blinking. A strange feeling came over me. Not pain, not shock. Clarity. Everything was finally clear. I wasn't a daughter. I wasn't a sister. I was a convenient solution. I sat down. In that kitchen. The place where I had cooked hundreds of meals, cleaned hundreds of times. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. It wasn't a home. It was just a place where I worked. I didn't cry. That surprised me. I just sat there and thought, if I disappeared, what would happen? Would they be sad? Or just inconvenienced? The answer was right in front of me. I took my phone, took screenshots, sent them to my email, deleted the traces. Not for revenge, but to make sure I would never forget. I left the house at 1 a.m. The streets were empty. Yellow lights stretching across the road. I drove back to my apartment. Small, old, not beautiful. But for the first time, it felt like the only place that truly belonged to me. I sat in the dark, phone in my hand. The email from the gallery was still there. Unread. I stared at it for a long time. Before, I always thought things like this aren't meant for me. But now, a different question appeared. If not now, then when? I called my Aunt Margaret. She picked up before the second ring. Clara. I told her everything. The dinner, the words, the email. When I got to the word free, my voice cracked a little. She was quiet. Then she said one sentence that changed everything. I have a spare room. I didn't say anything. That gallery is 20 minutes from here. My heart started beating faster. You don't need anyone's permission. A Pause. You just need to choose. Choose. I had never been the one to choose. Or maybe I had just never believed I could. I hung up close to 2 a.m. At 6 a.m., I started packing. No overthinking, no hesitation. Just action. 3 suitcases. 1 camera. And for the first time in 32 years, a decision that belonged to me. I didn't leave a note. I didn't explain. Because for the first time, I understood something clearly. People who never listened don't suddenly start just because you explain. And this time, I didn't leave in silence. I left with clarity. 2 days before the Hawaii trip, I went back to the house. Not to help, not to clean, but to say something I had never said in 32 years. No. The living room was brightly lit. My mother was folding clothes, summer dresses, wide brim hats. Lily sat on the couch scrolling through her phone. My father was in the corner, newspaper open, but he wasn't reading. He was just there, like always. I need to talk. I stood at the doorway. No one stood up. If this is about the kids' schedule, my mother said without looking up, Lily already sent everything to you. It's not about that. I stepped inside. I'm not watching the kids. This time, they looked at me. Actually looked. What? Lily stood up. I'm not doing it. My voice was calm, so calm it surprised even me. A brief silence. Then my mother stood up, slowly. Say that again. I'm not watching the kids. I'm not staying. Are you joking? Her voice turned cold. No. I have something in California. California. That word triggered something. What thing? My father asked. My thing. I didn't explain. I didn't ask for permission. Lily laughed. A short, disbelieving laugh. Are you serious? I already made plans. We need you. Need. I had heard that word my whole life. I need you. Mom needs you. The family needs you. But never once did they ask. What do you need? You made plans without asking me, I said. So Lily shrugged. You're always free anyway. Always free. Before, I would have stayed quiet. But this time, I looked straight at her. I'm not free. No raised voice, no anger. Just the truth. The room grew heavy. My mother stepped closer. Clara, her voice slowed but sharpened. You're being selfish. Selfish. A familiar weapon. Every time I didn't comply, I was selfish. I'm not selfish, I said. I'm just not doing it anymore. Not doing it anymore. Those words landed like a quiet explosion. My father folded the newspaper. If you go, he said, his voice lower, I don't expect to come back to things the way they were. I looked at him. A part of me waited for fear. But it didn't come. I understand. And for the first time, I truly did. There was nothing to go back to. My phone started vibrating. A message. From my mother. Why are you doing this? Why are you breaking this family? Another call. Your father is disappointed. A message from Lily. You'll regret this. Another one. You'll be alone. One by one, the words came in. Not to understand me, but to pull me back. I read all of them. Didn't reply, didn't explain, didn't defend myself. Because for the first time, I understood something clearly. They didn't want to understand. They just wanted me back in my place. The one who stays, the one who sacrifices, the one who is always there. But this time, I didn't go back. I turned off my phone. The apartment was silent. 3 suitcases by the door, my camera on the table. I looked around. The old room, familiar things. A life I had lived, for other people. And then, I did something very simple. I picked up my suitcase. Opened the door. Walked out. Didn't look back. Because this time, I wasn't leaving to be stopped. I was leaving, so I would never return to who I used to be. I didn't know what was ahead. But I knew one thing. Whatever was waiting for me was better than staying somewhere I never truly existed. I left the city just as the sun was rising. No one saw me off. No messages like drive safe. Just silence, as if I had never existed. My old car, the same one my mother used to be ashamed of. That day, it carried me farther than I had ever gone. 45 hours of driving. I didn't do it all at once. I stopped, stayed in small roadside motels, ate at diners where no one knew my name. And for the first time, no one needed anything from me. No one called, no one asked, no one assigned me anything. My phone stayed off most of the time. But once, I turned it on. A message from Lily. Mom said if you're not back before we return, then you're no longer part of this family. I read it. Once. Then I deleted it. Because there was only one thought in my mind. They had treated me like I didn't exist for a long time already. That sentence didn't hurt. It made me lighter. On the 3rd day, I stopped at a rest area. An open field, soft wind, the sun setting. I sat on the hood of my car. Not thinking. Just looking. And then, instinctively, I picked up my camera. Click. The first photo of my new life. Not of someone else, but of that moment. Freedom. On the 5th day, I arrived. A small town, near the ocean. Everything felt different from anywhere I had lived before. Small houses, quiet streets, no one rushing. No one looking at me like I had to become something. My Aunt Margaret's shop sat on the corner. A small sign, a window full of light. And she was there, waiting for me. You made it, she said. Know why. Know what happened. Just, you made it. I stepped out of the car. And for the first time in a long time, someone hugged me. Not because they needed something, not out of obligation. Just because I was there. Come in, she said. Your room is upstairs. Room. The word felt unfamiliar. A small space. Bright. A window facing the ocean. Not perfect, not fancy. But it was mine. You'll help me in the mornings, she said. The rest of the time, you do your work. Your work. I had never really had that concept before. The next morning, I woke up at 5 a.m. Made coffee, set tables, greeted customers. Strangers. But they looked at me, spoke to me, thanked me. Small things I had never really had. By noon, I was done. The entire afternoon was mine. I picked up my camera, walked, photographed. No one asked what I was doing. No one told me what I should be doing. Just me and what I could see. At 2 p.m. that day, I stood in front of a place. A gallery. My heart started racing. This was the place that had emailed me. I took a breath and walked in. I expected someone distant, a cold space. But no. A man stood there. Warm eyes, calm voice. Clara. I nodded. I've been waiting for you. Waiting. No one had ever said they were waiting for me. He walked me through the gallery. Not my photos. But the way he looked at them made me realize something. Here, everything was seen. Your work, he said, doesn't feel like a beginner's. I didn't know what to say. You don't just take photos, he continued. You understand people. I had heard that before. From Margaret. We'd like to give you a solo exhibition. Solo exhibition. I stood still. 15 pieces, 6 weeks. 6 weeks. Everything felt too fast. I started, I'm not sure. You've been ready for a long time. He said it without hesitation, without doubt. He believed in me, more than I believed in myself. And that was when I realized something. The past 3 years were not meaningless. I wasn't just there. I had built something. Quietly. But real. And now, for the first time, it was about to be seen. But I didn't know, when that moment came, who would show up. I signed the contract on a Tuesday afternoon. Sunlight streamed through the gallery windows, falling onto the table where a single sheet of paper lay, with my name on it. Clara Bennett. Artiste. I stared at that word longer than necessary. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I had never seen my name placed next to something of value. Not the helper, not the sister, not the one who is always there, but someone who created something worth recognizing. The man across from me didn't rush. He simply sat there observing. You can take more time, he said gently. I shook my head. Not because I was certain, but because for the first time, I didn't want to go back. I signed. A simple stroke of the pen. but it felt like I had just signed into a different life. 15 photographs, 6 weeks to prepare. The gallery would handle printing, framing, and promotion. I would receive 60% of the revenue. Those numbers never meant much to me before. But in that moment, my hands still trembled. Not out of fear, but because I was beginning to understand the value of what I had built. 3 years. No one saw it, no one acknowledged it. But that didn't mean it had no value. It just hadn't been in the right place. I left the gallery holding the contract, pressing it lightly against my chest. Not to show it off, just to make sure it was real. That night I placed the contract on the table, looked at it, then took out my camera, set it beside it. One old, one new. One born from pain, one proving how far I had come. I took a photo. Didn't post it, didn't share it. Just to remember where I once was and where I was standing now. The days that followed moved quickly. Mornings I worked at the shop with Margaret. Afternoons I edited photos, selected images, test prints. Wrong. Redo. Wrong again. Redo again. No one forced me. No family pressure. No one standing behind me telling me what to do. Just me. Choosing. Taking responsibility. And strangely, I had never worked this hard before. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. 3 weeks later, things began to shift. A small article appeared. A local blog. Talking about the upcoming exhibition. Not big, not viral. But enough for my name to appear on Google. And that was when it reached a place I didn't expect. My family. I don't know who found it first. Maybe Lily. Maybe my mother. Maybe someone they knew. But I knew it happened. Because my phone lit up. For the first time in days. A message from Lily. What are you doing? I didn't reply. Another one. Is this real? Then a call. I didn't answer. Not out of anger. But because, for the first time, I didn't feel the need to respond immediately. A day passed. More messages. Where are you? You can't just disappear like this. Disappear. I looked at that word and almost laughed. Because for 32 years, I had been right in front of them. And still invisible. Now that I left, they called it disappearing. That night I received an email. From my father. Short, 3 lines. I saw the article. Is that you? What are you doing? I read it. Then put my phone down. Didn't reply right away. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because, for the first time, I had the right to choose when to respond. Or whether to respond at all. On the other side, I could imagine what was happening. They were talking about me. For the first time, not as someone who was always there, but as a question. A confusion. Something they couldn't control. And that made them uncomfortable. But for me, it no longer mattered. What mattered was this. I was standing in a small room, looking at my 15 photographs. Ona be ona. The people the world had overlooked, The eyes no one had noticed. Just like me. Before. But not anymore. I stepped back. Took in the entire space. A strange feeling rose inside me. Not pride, not overwhelming joy. But calm. A kind of calm I had never known. As if everything had finally fallen into place. But I was wrong to think things would stay peaceful. Because at that exact moment, the gallery door opened. And the people I never expected to see again walked in. The door opened. No loud noise. No one noticed at first. But I did. I knew, the moment it happened. Lily walked in first. The way she always enters any space, confident, owning the room, as if everywhere belongs to her. Derek followed behind, his eyes scanning quickly, assessing, measuring. And then, they saw me. Clara. Lily's voice cut through the room. Not loud, but enough for a few people nearby to turn. I stood still. Didn't step forward, didn't step back. Just looked at them. The moment stretched. Long enough for me to realize something. They didn't come to understand. They came to take back control. Oh my God, we've been looking everywhere for you. Lily moved toward me quickly, arms slightly open like she was about to hug me. I didn't move. She stopped. A flicker of awkwardness passed her face. Then disappeared. So, you're really doing this? She glanced around. The photos, the guests, the wine. But her eyes weren't admiring. They were confused. This is my exhibition, I said. No explanation. Derek gave a small nod. Polite, distant. Not bad, he said. Didn't expect you to do this kind of thing. This kind of thing. I didn't react. I was used to the way they labeled everything I did. Small, unimportant, not worth understanding. Listen. Lily lowered her voice, stepped closer. I'm pregnant. I nodded. Congratulations. Thanks, but the thing is... She paused, looked at me. I need you to come back. That sentence. It hadn't changed. Not are you okay, not look at what you've built. Just, I need you. Derek's really busy. Mom can't help much. I can't handle everything on my own. I stayed silent. She spoke faster. Just for a while. After the baby comes, once things settle. Once things settle. I had heard that my whole life. And every time, it meant the same thing. I go back to my old place. You'll come back right. Her voice softened. Not out of respect. But because she didn't understand how the answer could be no. I looked at Lily. For the first time, I felt no pressure, no responsibility. Just a person talking to me as if nothing had changed. Lily? I began. But she cut in. You know, Mom is really upset. Dad too. Family, guilt, obligation. The same three tools. You can't just disappear like this. Disappear. I looked at her. And for the first time, I said something I had never said out loud before. I didn't disappear. She froze. I just stopped staying in a place where no one could see me. Silence. Derek cleared his throat. Can we talk somewhere private? He said. Not a request. Abi. Control the situation. I glanced around. People were starting to notice. Not many, but enough. And I knew. This moment was no longer private. It wasn't going to stay in a corner of the room. It was about to expand. And this time, I wouldn't stay quiet. No. I said it clearly. We talk here. Lily's eyes shifted. Derek straightened. And the air in the room grew heavier. Because they weren't talking to the old Clara anymore. They were facing someone they could no longer control. And that was the moment. Everything started to move beyond their plan. No. I said it quietly. But clear enough for the people nearby to hear. We're talking here. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly. No one spoke, but attention began to turn toward us. Lily looked at me, her expression no longer soft. Clara, don't make a scene, she said under her breath. I shook my head. I'm not making a scene. A pause. I'm just not doing it anymore. Derek stepped forward, his voice firmer now. All right. This doesn't have to turn into something bigger. Doesn't have to be bigger. I almost laughed. You're right, I nodded. For you, it doesn't. I turned to Lily. But for me, I've been doing this for 32 years. She froze. I didn't stop. You say you need me. The family says they need me. I understand. I've always been there. I gestured lightly to myself. Always present, always available, always sacrificing. Each sentence, slow, clear. Not to attack, but to make sure it could no longer be ignored. But there's one thing, I continued. No one here has ever asked me. Do I want to? Silence filled the room. Some guests turned fully toward us now. No one left. They stayed. To watch. Lily lowered her voice. Everyone's staring. I glanced around. Eyes everywhere. Not pity. Observation. Good, I said. For the first time, they're actually looking. That made her stop. Derek Jutin. You're overreacting. It's just babysitting. Just. I nodded. Right, just babysitting. Every day, every week, every year. I took a step closer to him. No pay, no choice, no acknowledgement. A pause. And you call that just? Derek said nothing. Lily looked at me. For the first time, there was something like fear. You don't understand, she started. I'm pregnant. I understand, I cut in. Congratulations. A beat. But that doesn't mean I have to disappear to make your life easier. The sentence landed, sharp. I've been there for everyone, I continued, while no one was ever there for me. I built this. I turned slightly, gesturing to the photographs around us. While all of you thought I was doing nothing. A woman nearby spoke up. Did you take this one? I nodded. Beautiful, she said. One word. But enough to shift everything. Lily looked around. For the first time, she really saw. Not a hobby, not a distraction. Something real. Clara, her voice softened. You can do this later. Later. I shook my head. No. This is my life. A long silence. Then I said the words I never thought I would say. I'm not coming back. No explanation, no apology. Just the truth. Direkt exhalet. You're ruining everything. I looked at him. No. I'm just not holding it together anymore. Someone behind us started clapping. Softly. Then another. And another. The sound spread. Not loud. But enough. For me to understand something. This time. I wasn't alone. I didn't smile. I didn't cry. I just stood there. Calm. As if everything had finally been said. Lily didn't speak again. Neither did Derek. They stood there. For the first time. Without an answer. And that was the moment the balance shifted. Not because I won, but because I no longer needed them. No one spoke for a few seconds. The applause faded. The air in the gallery felt different. No longer tense like before, but not normal either. Lily was the first to turn away. Not because she understood, but because she no longer had control. Let's go, she said quietly to Derek. She didn't look at me. Derek nodded, a stiff nod. Before he turned, he said one thing. Not loud, but enough for me to hear. You'll understand someday. I didn't respond. Because I already did. The door closed. Soft, but final. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel the urge to run after them. No explaining, no fixing, no holding on. Not needed. Are you okay? A voice beside me. I turned. A woman stood there. Her eyes weren't curious, not judgmental. Just kind. I'm okay, I said. And I realized I was telling the truth. Not the kind of okay to avoid questions. But, okay. This photo, she pointed to one nearby. When did you take it? A simple question. But it grounded me. Not as the Clara from my family, but the Clara from here. 3 months ago, I answered. Beautiful, she said. Then she smiled and walked away. Everything continued. People went back to the photos, talking, soft laughter. As if a wave had just passed. But for me, everything had changed. I didn't replay what just happened. I didn't stand there thinking, was I right? Was I too harsh? The questions I used to ask myself. This time, they didn't come. There was only one feeling. Quiet. Not because everything was perfect, but because I was no longer in conflict with myself. By the end of the night, the gallery slowly emptied. Half-finished glasses on the tables, lights dimming. Marcus walked over. "I've been doing this for 20 years, he said. "I've never seen an opening like that." I smiled lightly. "Is that a good thing or a bad thing?" He looked at me. "Good. Because no one here will forget you. No one will forget." That didn't excite me. But it made me realize something. I had spent my whole life trying not to disappoint anyone. And in return, no one remembered who I was. Now, I just had to be myself. And that was enough for people to see me. That night, I went back to my room. Didn't turn on the lights right away. Just sat down. Silence. No phone, no message. My family didn't call again. Didn't text again. And that didn't make me sad. It confirmed something. That relationship had ended a long time ago. Today, I had simply stepped out of it. I looked at the table. The contract was still there, the camera was still there. Two things that brought me here. I picked up the camera. Didn't take a photo. Just held it. Like a reminder that none of this was an accident. Not luck. But a choice. My choice. And for the first time, I didn't regret it. But I was wrong to think it would end there. Because a few weeks later, something else happened. Not loud, not dramatic, but enough to change how I saw my past completely. An email. Just 3 lines. From the last person I expected. My father. And this time, he didn't speak to me the way he used to. The email came on an ordinary evening. No warning, no special subject line. Just the sender's name. My father. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, didn't open it right away. For years, he had always been there. But he had never really said anything. He didn't protect me. He didn't stand up for me. He just stayed silent. I opened the email. 3 lines. I read the article. "I didn't know you could do these things. I'm proud of you." I read it once, then again. Proud. A word I had waited for my entire life. But when it finally came, it didn't break me open. No tears, no overwhelming emotion. Just a strange feeling. Light. As if a door inside me had been closed for a long time. And now, even if someone knocked, it no longer opened. I put my phone down. Didn't reply right away. Not out of anger. But because I no longer needed those words. Still, I read it again. Not for him. But to be sure of one thing. I once needed this. And I had lived long enough without it. The days after that, things kept changing. The exhibition ended. 15 photographs. 8 sold. Not a huge number. But to me, it was proof. Not about money. But that someone could see my value. A local magazine featured me. My photo on the cover. The headline: "The woman who learned to see herself I stared at that image for a long time. Not because it was beautiful, but because I recognized the person in it. Not the Clara from 3 years ago. Not the one standing in the kitchen waiting to be called. But the one standing at the center of her own story. Messages started coming back. Not many, but enough. Lily texted. A photo. A newborn baby. My daughter, Charlotte. No apology, no explanation. Just a form of connection. I looked. Then replied. Congratulations. Nothing more, nothing less. Just enough. My mother called once. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. Are you done with that thing yet? It's time to come home. I deleted it. Didn't think twice. Because for the first time, I understood something clearly. Some people don't change. Only your position in their life does. And me? I had changed. My life now isn't big. Not wealthy. Not perfect. In the mornings, I still work at the shop. In the afternoons, I take photos. A small studio, a familiar corner table. Regular customers have started calling me the photographer. A simple name. But it's mine. Margaret still brings me coffee every morning. She doesn't ask what I have to do. She asks, what do you want to photograph today? And that question always makes me smile. Because it's nothing like the question I heard my whole life. What can you do for others? A month later, I received an invitation for another exhibition. The theme: boundaries. I smiled when I read it. Because I didn't need to try to understand it. I had lived it. That night, I sat alone. Opened my father's email again. 3 lines. Not perfect, not enough. But the first time, he had truly said something. I didn't reply immediately. But this time, I didn't delete it either. I let it stay. Not to go back. But to no longer need it. I looked out the window. The ocean dark, the wind soft. A kind of quiet I had never known before. Not because everything was resolved, but because I was no longer waiting for someone else to resolve it for me. And that was when I understood. This story was never about leaving my family. It was about stepping into my own life. And this time, I stayed. There was something I didn't understand before. I always thought, one day, everything would have a clear ending. My family would apologize, I would be recognized, everything would be fixed. But the truth is, that didn't happen. There was no big moment, no perfect apology, no embrace that made everything go back to how it was. There were only small changes, slow and imperfect. My family didn't disappear completely. They're still there, at a distance. Holiday messages, a Christmas card, no return address, no note. Just a signal. We're not the same family we used to be. But maybe we never were. And that doesn't hurt anymore. A year later, my life didn't explode. No miracles, no dramatic turning point. Just things gradually falling into the right place. Margaret's shop became busier. So did my studio. The people I photographed started telling their stories. They were no longer invisible. Just like me. The second exhibition opened. Boundaries. The photographs were no longer just about others. They were about distance. Between people, between love and control, between family and freedom. I stood in the room, looking at each image. No explanation needed. I understood all of it. Because I had lived every boundary in that space. One day, I received another email. Short. Simple. From my father. I hope one day we can talk. No more come back. No more family comes first. Just talk. I read it. Put my phone down. Didn't reply immediately. Not because I didn't want to. But because this time, I get to choose when. And how. I'm no longer the one chasing to hold a relationship together. I'm the one who decides whether it exists at all. And that is enough. That night, I sat by the window. The ocean in front of me, a soft wind. My camera on the table. Old, still working. Beside it, the new one. I didn't choose which was better. Because both are part of me. One reminds me how invisible I once was. The other proves how I came to be seen. I picked up the old one. Looked through the lens. Not to take a photo, but to remember that there was a version of me who accepted being unseen, and another version who chose to step out. Not to prove anything, but simply to exist. That is what matters most. Not whether others see you, but whether you see yourself. This story was never about leaving my family. It was about no longer leaving myself behind. And from that moment on, everything else was just a consequence. Not a victory. Just freedom.